everyone. I'm LaVasseur. I am the founder and executive director and research director of Internet Safety Labs. And I'm really thrilled to be here today. I think this conference is such a beautiful, holistic look at safety, and I'm really honored and happy to be here. Thanks, Angeline. And this is the agenda. We're going to talk about who we are, digital product safety writ large, and how to empirically measure safety risks in technology, and then how to scale this digital product safety effort through community. So we are a nonprofit organization. We're a technology watchdog. We've been around since 2019, and we measure and expose unavoidable safety risks in technology. And the way to think about us is really, we are like your geeky friend. We are software people. We are software experts, and we look under the hood of technology so you don't have to. So I want to talk about digital product safety. I'm going to frame things under this idea of digital product safety, which was a little different kind of framing, I think, than we sometimes think about this. And I have been told many times in the past several months that I have to be a better storyteller. And as an engineer, storytelling is not always my forte. So I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a try. So once upon a time, we enjoyed institutionalized product safety for really all of the physical products in our lives. It was just a norm we had come to expect. But then digital products were created and things changed. And perhaps because they are driven by software, we thought maybe they couldn't hurt us. I have a lot of reasons about this, but we'll go with this one. And then because the software worked so great, even from the very, very beginning, it was perfect. We welcome these digital products and services into really every nook and corner of how we live our lives, 24/7. And even today, people believe that surely someone is doing product safety testing. And in fact, we tested this about a year and a half ago, and 40% of the respondents thought, indeed, yes, somebody is doing product safety testing on this. The sad reality is, of course, they're wrong. There is no product safety testing. There is no norm for product safety testing, no standards, no agreed upon even definition of product safety. So, moreover, the current level of digital product unsafety is really unprecedented. And by that, what I mean is that the scale of it is really unprecedented. And that's because at least physical products have to have a distribution channel, right? And it takes time for them to gain adoption throughout the world. But with these digital products, they can blanket the globe overnight. So the situation is really quite profound, I would say. And lest this be too sort of depressing, starting off with all the depressing stuff, that I think anybody who's in this conference participating kind of already knows this, but the time is actually right for product safety. On average, product safety efforts emerge about 50 years after product introduction. If you go back and look at things like automobiles and other norms, you'll see that. So it turns out we're right on time. This is, by my reckoning, the start really of consumer software with kind of some serious adoption was in the late 80s. So we're right on time for product safety for this stuff. So what is product safety? I think for the most part, when we think about product safety, we think about elimination of harms. And I want to suggest that that is not the ideal way to think about it. Really, what we're looking at is a minimization of harms. And further, I would like to suggest that product safety is a process. I was practicing this last night and I was like, it's a lifestyle. It is kind of a lifestyle, not to be too glib about it. But anyway, these are the facets that kind of occupy my thinking about safety as a process. It's about measuring the harms and risks, driving awareness about the harms and risks, preventing harms and risks, mitigating harms and risks, holding accountable and people accountable for harms and risks. I think these are like the key functions that happen. So if we look at each one of these, measurement, like for example, crash testing for automobiles, measuring the risk, measuring the likelihood, It's very important. Awareness. Awareness comes really in a couple of key forms. I think the most pervasive ones we see are signage and labeling. So these appear like at the time, really proximal to when the risk is going to be incurred. And so driving awareness is really vital. I want to say one thing about this. Privacy policies are not this. Privacy policies do not talk about risk. They don't even do a good job talking about ingredients. So they're not doing the thing. Okay. Prevention also comes before encountering the risk, right? You take some measures to minimize the likelihood that you are going to be exposed to the risk. And then in the chronology of this, mitigation comes when the harm is in progress and you want to staunch the flow and the overall impact of the risk. So there are steps that you can take to do that. Ultimately, what we want is accountability. So I put the automobile airbags in here. Like we want to see, fundamentally, we want to see reasonably safe products. We're used to that. And actually, we say that in a capitalistic world, really, it's no longer just a society, right? I think there are very few parts of the globe that are not touched in some small or large way by capitalism. Product safety is a human right. India has actually codified that. But we also really embrace that idea. Like in this world where we rely on commercial products, we have a duty and we have the right for these products to be reasonably safe. But digital products really have presented a new ball game with this idea of product safety, and not just in their wide-scale adoption. But software is an animating force. It allows this otherwise inanimate thing to actually interact with us, act upon us, and it's much more interactive. It behaves. And since software can behave, it can harm just by itself. And that's the thing that is a little bit different when we try to think about the whole kind of landscape of harms. And this is a framing that we have developed several years ago. This is not intended to really be a continuum. It's, I just need to caveat that we presented it this way. It's not really this contiguous, but we were trying to make sense of all the different activities and all the different ways that technology and software-driven technology can create harm. We kind of break it up into this unsafe software and weaponized software. And I want to focus on the unsafe software because this is really where we at ISL live. And we talk about what we call programmatic harms. These programmatic harms are harms that happen when you use the product as it was designed and intended to be used. These harms are often invisible. They are unavoidable. You can't use the product without encountering these harms. And so this is really where our sweet spot is and ISL. And so when I think about the context of this conference, what I love about it is that there's so many people representing different aspects of these harms. And this is not comprehensive by a long shot, just to be clear. I do know that. This is not comprehensive. And so when we think about product safety, I think in the long run, you have to address all of this stuff somehow. But right now, like I said, our little swim lane is down here because we're the geeks, right? We're the software folks. We know how to look at this stuff and figure out what these programmatic harms are. So I want to just come back to these stages or parts of product safety and talk a little bit about accountability and who does what and who should do what. So for measurement, we really want independent assessment. Nobody feels good when the vendor does the measurement and assesses what they're doing. We've tested this. We know this for a fact. So this really needs to be independent assessment. For accountability, this is where industry steps up, right? This is industry's responsibility. This is the vendor's responsibility. They're responsible for reasonably safe products. How it is in the world today, right now, is that there's a kind of unequal burden on consumers and consumer responsibility. I call it DIY safety, to really be aware, do the prevention, do the mitigation, do all of this. And I want to suggest that this is unfair, bordering on obscene, really. If these were physical products, there is no way we would stand for this situation and say, yeah, sure. Like, you would never stand for, like, oh, this cleaning chemical is completely unlabeled, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and use it. No, you wouldn't. And you wouldn't also think it's your responsibility to do the chemical assay and analysis on this cleaning chemical, right? You wouldn't. So we've got ourselves kind of gaslit by industry to believe that it is our responsibility to be safe. Yes, there's a part of it, for sure. There's a part of it, but it is not all of it. And there needs to be far more product accountability than there is right now. So coming back to what I really want to dive into here is the measurement. And because this is where we live. ISL lives in figuring out how to measure harms and risks. And that work actually drives accountability and awareness. But our primary focus is figuring out the science behind this to put up objective information that is going to capture the risks effectively so that industry can build safer products and consumers can be more aware of what the actual risks are. Because again, we're here to help, and this is really kind of our primary focus. Okay, so let's get into measuring digital product safety. So I've written quite a lot about this, and you can go on our website and look at this, but this is kind of the elephant of digital product safety. And there is not just one way we can be harmed by digital products. There's a variety of ways, and this is not meant to be complete. This is just, again, a kind of metaphor. There are lots of different ways that we can be harmed by technology. And so we have right now focused primarily on privacy risks. And what you're going to see is going to show that we're also starting to work on dark pattern risks and measuring and quantifying those. So again, I'm going to try another little story kind of approach here. We started in 2021 with an analysis of these school utility apps or community engagement platforms, trying to measure and quantify the privacy risks in them. After we did that, our method of doing that was not as deep as we would have liked. So we wanted to look sort of broader and deeper at EdTech across the U.S. We conducted a U.S.-wide EdTech benchmark. In 2022, we audited over 1,700 apps. We collected network traffic for most of those apps, and it was our first effort to really measure these privacy risks at scale. We produced a ton of tools and research documents and stuff. I'm going to highlight a couple of these right now, but you can find these on our website under resources and reports for most of this stuff. So App Microscope is a tool we built, and you can view safety labels for mobile apps. Those 1,700 plus apps that we did, you can see the safety labels there. We also produced these privacy risk dictionaries that show we had to score the privacy risks for companies, SDKs. SDKs are software development kits. They're sort of, think of them as like Lego building blocks for how people build mobile apps. Or you can think of it as an ingredient label, like third-party ingredients that go into the mobile app. And also the subdomains. So the subdomains are the sort of visual evidence of who the app is actually talking to. This comes out of the network traffic. We scored all of this information. We scored the safety risk of every single one of these things. It was massive. So those are freely available on our website. But let's talk about the safety labels. This is an example safety label. First of all, this was the worst app in the batch that we did. Not all apps are like this bad. This was just a uniquely bad one. I will also say this is no longer available in the App Store, which we take as a good sign. But it's a good example of kind of the data that we collect. So the safety label has 3 sections. There's this header section at the top, which just gives you kind of like the overall, like, whoa, stay away from this one. And then there's a summary section. And this one is like, if you want to know a little bit more about what the high level risks are, wow, 149 companies, yikes. Data broker domains, 24 data broker domains. Whoa, I sure do not want my children using that. So this gives you kind of a breakdown of the key risks. And then we get into details, and this goes on and on and on. I've got just like one example here, but this list goes on and on and on. And it's showing you every single subdomain that received a little bit of information from the app. So you can think about these. Another way to think about these for anybody who's like enforcing GDPR or anything, these are data processors, whether they are claimed as data processors or not. They absolutely are, because they are communicating with the app. Okay. So our labels are really intended. We know that they're a little bit like too much. We do understand this and we're working to try to make them more usable. But right now, we're really trying to drive them as evidence for enforcement and litigation. So, like, for example, this app was found in an elementary school. That's for little kids well under the age of 13. But there were also behavioral ads and data brokers, which would flag this in the US as a COPPA violation. So we're trying to kind of paint a clear picture for regulatory enforcers on like, hello, here's one. We also are trying to provide information for data-driven policymaking. And there is this category average information, which I think is really powerful because it takes this category, in this case, it's ed tech, but it's actually community engagement platforms as a subset of ed tech. And it's telling you what the norms are for that category average. This is vital for us to make sense of what's reasonable, like what is that reasonable safety? What's reasonable and what's unreasonable? Is it reasonable that 75% of the apps in this category are in some way tracking location? We also hope that our information is used by the manufacturers, the software developers, and anybody doing vendor management, because they can take a look at this and figure out what the risks are. And then finally, but not least, I think it's really, the details are probably like, whoa, I did not want that much information. This is what happens when you're kind of on the spectrum and you make things. But this stuff on the summary section and the header is really where we are trying to optimize that for everyday people to be able to quickly identify the risks. And we'd love your feedback on the labels. I'm hoping we're going to get these slides out to everybody and you'll get the links on all this stuff. So really quickly, our methodology of doing these privacy inspections are that we look at the app metadata from several different sources to get like these software development kit information and other metadata about the apps. And then we do manual testing and we are looking for ads. We're looking for behavioral ads. We're looking in the future for dark patterns. And most importantly, we do the network traffic collection. So our privacy score reflects the riskiness of both the data and the recipients of the data. And so real quickly, our current score is 3 levels, and we're actually changing that. And in the coming weeks, you're going to start to see that we've rescored all the apps, and we'll publish more about that. But we're adding in a 4th level because that app that we were just looking at, that was like its own kind of critical risk. And it is so for really, really egregiously bad things, we needed to highlight that. Okay, so finally, scaling through community. There are 3 things that we're doing in a community way. One is we have an open software safety standards panel. This has been in progress for several years since we started, really. And the panel is the place that everybody comes together and says, this is what the safety label needs to include. Doesn't figure out how to do it. We do that behind the scenes. But we want to hear from the people, everyone, and to find out what needs to be in this label. We also produce safety standards. We've published some, and we also manage and maintain a digital harms dictionary on our website. This is open for everybody. If this sounds like something you'd like to invest some time in, we're just starting on the dark patterns work, so please join us. Another project we have underway is called Safetypedia Pilot. We are actually training and certifying safety inspectors for privacy audits. We're training you how to do this privacy audit that we have done on those 1,700 apps. And the inspectors, once they're certified, they'll be able to enter the app data into our dashboard, and that will, with a little help, a little human help, it will generate a safety label in App Microscope. It's free to participate in this pilot. You can participate anywhere in the world. Contact us if you're interested. We're exploring to see if this is going to be a viable way to scale. We also are looking at automation, of course, but we're kind of interested in building a community of people testing these things. So what you'll see then is multiple safety labels for every app from people all over the world. That's the idea. Finally, I want to float an idea. I've been kind of thinking about this since November. Safety Researchers Unite If you're doing empirical research, I feel like it's such a unique skill and it's a little bit, geeky. I'm not going to lie. We are a little bit on the geeky side. But we really would love to kind of create a forum where we can bring together all of the people who are doing this empirical research to help make it more accessible to people, because this research is useless if it's not in people's hands who can do something with it. And so we really want to help foster that and make our research efforts bigger than the sum of all of our splintered parts. So if anybody is interested in this, I would really love to talk to you all about that. And that is everything I've got. Thank you. And I hope that we can have a discussion.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Super interesting. And just going on from your last topic there, asking for people's help and assistance, whether they're researchers or even content moderators, people like that who could help feed into your labeling, especially from around the world. And we do have people, at this event from all different places. So I'd definitely say, please reach out to Lisa. Your help, I'm sure, would be highly appreciated. And we've talked about the nuances as well, haven't we, about different languages and different terminologies. So yeah, please all reach out to Lisa. You can catch her on here, or I think you're on LinkedIn, if I remember, Lisa. Reach out on LinkedIn or reach out to us and we can put you in touch. And yeah, I know that everyone's help and assistance would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, please do. Because the thing is one thing that I didn't really probably underscore enough, but that circle with the 5 pieces, I think none of the pieces work if we don't have measurement. Like if we don't have agreement that, yes, this is the truth about how this app is behaving or this website is behaving, if we don't have a common understanding of what the measured risks are, none of the rest really can be effective or efficient, I would say. So, yeah.
And it's back to collaboration again, a favorite word that we all keep using. And this is what it's all about. This is why we're all here. We're passionate about this. We're dedicated. We're here to help each other. So yes, please reach out to Lisa. She'd love your knowledge and experience. We've got some great people here. And yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a question of the participants? I kind of want to get a sense of people's backgrounds. I recognize some of the names. I know some of the backgrounds, but I kind of want to get a better sense of people's areas of interest. And like, maybe let's just ask the question about how many people are working in programmatic versus weaponization of software or technology. I'm interested in that.
Unless people are going to start typing, I put your answer, if you're willing to, in the comments. I would probably say we have a big mix, actually, Lisa. We have people from all over. I know quite a few people who are attending this, but, we can arrange that. Lisa, you can always reach out to us and, we could do a post.
Well, I was just asking the people who are here in this talk. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a mix. We have a mix of a wide variety of people. I'm not seeing any comments, so maybe people are being shy or whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, we can definitely assist with that. But as I say, if you're interested, reach out to Lisa. Fabulous stuff that she's doing. And yeah, it all goes part to making the online world a safer place. So thank you very much, Lisa. Super insightful talk. Thank you for attending. And yeah, keep up the good work. And I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Andy.
Cheers. Bye.